To order, and for the agenda there's an addition for the rec and facility department in 6.5.1, and there's also point in new business 8.1 to be added to the agenda.
What are the points? Just so.
Okay. 6.5.1 is submission of Charter Building Foundation application in support of the Wayne Town Hall Theater Committee, and 8.1 is a request for a temporary road closure.
Both of these items came to us last minute and were of a time-sensitive nature, so we.
So with these additions, do I move for the agenda? Trevor and Yolanda? All in favor? Carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest, if any. None noted. Point 4, approval of previous minutes. 4.1, the minutes of the regular council meeting held December 21st.
Move approval.
Second.
Brock and Trevor. All in favor? Carried. Okay, 5 is deputations. 5.1 is the House and Dam Committee. Andy, are you
Yep, I'm speaking.
chairing? Okay. The floor is yours.
Thank you. We've, Neil and council, staff members, thank you for allowing us to speak with you this evening about our house and dam. To our knowledge, no significant repair work has been done to our dam for at least 30 years, so it needs to be repaired. Oops. Richard, what did I do wrong?
Use the other man's button.
The left one? Just in case some of you are not familiar with this major historical part of our municipal infrastructure, we have an aerial photo here that was provided to us by one of our supporters. It shows the walking trail bridge, the former railway bridge here at the bottom of the photo, the Josephine Street bridge here over the pond. The dam itself is here in the bottom part of the photograph. Creates this lovely pond that extends quite a distance upstream. We're looking easterly here. And of course alongside the pond is our beautiful Riverside Park area. On the other side, on the north side, is some residential properties, and comes close to the road out here and as you get out into the township. Some agricultural land. So this has been a dam site since before 1862. That's over 150 years ago. It's certainly a significant historical part of our community and one of the main reasons that this town exists. The current dam, this dam photo here was circa 1920, provided again by one of our supporters. The current dam was built in 1921, 95 years ago, by the town of Wingham. The dam creates the pond, and 55 years ago, as you can see here on this sign, started in 1960, the town council decided to create a park alongside the pond. And what a lovely park it is. You cannot imagine this park without the pond. Here's a close-up of part of the old section of the dam. As you can see, the sills or the weirs where the logs are placed is badly eroded. The pier is badly eroded. This has prevented the public works staff from installing the logs for a number of years now. Here's a closer up shot, the sills here, the erosion of the sill, the erosion of the pier. The historical water level was up around this height, close to the top of these steel I-beams that the log slid into. What we've been living with for the last number of years is the water level way down here, about 4.5 to 5 feet lower. So as you can readily see, our dam needs to be repaired. So who are we? Well, in early 2012, a committee was formed of citizens under the chairmanship of Terry Taylor, but after about 6 months, that group became frustrated by what they called red tape, and there was no further action undertaken until March 2014, when our current chair, Rennie Alexander, here on my right, took over with Jim Wickens back here behind me, and Tom Inglis behind me, and myself as committee members. With much help from our township facilities manager, Mrs. Newson, and our public works manager, Mr. Church, significant progress was made toward a repair project until this past June, when their services were withdrawn. So what were our objectives, or what are our objectives? We think there should be a committee of council appointed to address the house and dam repair project. Assisting council with the various steps to proceed with the project, to improve the appearance of the house and dam from all 4 directions, reestablish that historic water level that I indicated was 4.5 to 5 feet higher than it has been recently, and deliver some results to the 1,000 or more supporters that we have in the community. Some of whom are here tonight. If you're here supporting this project, do you mind raising your hand, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. There are also 8 local community groups that initially gave us their support to proceed with the engineering study. They're listed here. The BIA has recently, just in the last couple days, for some strange reason, made it clear that they only supported the initiative of our committee to hire the engineer to obtain some plans and reports, which I have over here. If anybody's interested, I'm sure the council members are aware of them. But these are the other, the Horticultural Society, the Musical Muskrat Festival, the Lions Club, the Masonic Lodge, the Sportsman Association, and the Seniors Happy Gang, some of whom are here this evening. Jim Wickens is going to describe these 2 photos to you, since he was the one who took them.
I was involved with the Muskrat Festival from the beginning. The top picture there shows what the water level was like. One of the things we wanted to do is involve the river, and we came up with the idea of using the cardboard boat races. That was right on top of the bank where you could walk in, and about 2 feet in, the water was deep enough. The bottom picture is taken 2 years later, and it's about 100 feet west of where the first picture was taken. Now you can see they have to carry the boats. They got to go about 75 feet to get into the water level, and hope that there's enough water there to float the cardboard boats.
So the current water level is too low for the Musical Muskrat Festival activities, or for use by almost any pleasure boaters. Paddle boats won't operate in most of the pond area, and it's difficult to canoe. However, in the past, at the higher historical water level, Even power boats and water skiers were able to use this pond. So what have we accomplished in the last year and a half or so? As I've just noted, we've obtained the support of many, and that number continues to grow. We've obtained the engineered plan and reports for the repair of the sills and the weir and the piers. That was with the approval of the previous council. We've held regular meetings with the township staff until this past June. We received, with a lot of work by Mrs. Newsom, a Huron County Heritage Grant, recognizing the heritage of this structure in the community, and that money was used to offset some of the engineering costs. We have met with a representative of the Ministry of Natural Resources last fall on site, so we know what needs to be done in order to get a permit under the Lakes and Rivers Improvement Act. We have met with the CEO of Green Bug Energy, which is a company that develops small water power projects on rivers, and they are interested in doing so at this site if the dam is repaired. We have determined that an environmental assessment is not required to repair this dam. And especially Rennie has investigated the possibility of obtaining grants for this project. So this is another shot of the 4 bays of the old section of the dam. As you can see better here, the sills are badly eroded. So if the logs were put in, the water would just leak underneath. So it hasn't been possible to, well, it's futile to put the logs in under these conditions. This is the pier that we had the photograph of earlier. This westerly one is just as bad. These 2 piers were repaired by the Public Works Department a couple of years ago. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there at all, and this easterly sill is one of the worst ones. So you can see, Reeve Neal and council members, that this dam needs to be repaired as soon as possible. I'd just like you to remember that photo because I'm going to refer to it again in a moment. This is a photograph of a newer spillway on the west end that was built in the late 1960s. It provided significant high flow capacity for flood flows, and when the logs are removed, all the low flow passes through this spillway that leaves that old section of the dam, and maybe we could go back to that, Rennie. It leaves this old section of the dam where the work needs to be done completely in the dry, as you can see. There's no water there at all because we'd be working up. So that means that it would be much easier to undertake the work. We would not be working in flowing water. We'd not be working in the river course at all. Another thing I'd like you to note here on this wing wall. This mark up here is the historic high water level or normal water level. This is the level that we've been able to obtain the last few years. So this is the difference, this 4.5 to 5 feet here, that makes all the difference in the world to everybody using the pond and wanting to use the pond and to the Musical Muskrat Festival. So what are our current requests to you? Not necessarily make us, but create a committee of council so we can assist with proceeding with the repair project. Reestablish the assistance of your township staff, which is very valuable. Proceed to make the application to the Ministry of Natural Resources for approval to proceed with the repair project. Then proceed with the repairs to the dam as soon as possible. It may require a phased approach in order to undertake all of the work that's necessary. This is a photograph Rennie took earlier, or in 2015. Nice, beautiful pond. It'd be nicer if the water level was higher, but this is what people see when they come into the community from the north, or they're leaving it from the south. To us, it looks quite attractive. It would look better with a higher water level. If we didn't have the dam, we'd have these unattractive weeds, mud flats, scrub, that eventually would turn into what the lower pond looks like now. We don't think this is more attractive than the previous slide. We would rather see the pond adjacent to our beautiful park. So this is what the dam could look like if it was reestablished. This is a photoshopped image, but it has the lower water level, not the higher one. So try and imagine it with 4.5 feet more water. So we know your budget is always under pressure, Reeve, Neal, and council members, especially over the next few years with the capital campaign request from our hospital. But we suggest it would be appropriate to include some funds in the 2016 budget for dam repairs, or at least to increase the dam reserve account if repairs cannot proceed this year. And we are aware of the dam reserve account. So we thank you for your attention and your consideration of our request. And if there are any questions, we try and answer them.
Doesn't look like council is asking any questions right now. Thank you for your presentation. And we know our budget meetings are starting immediately. This will be one of the things that will definitely be part of the budget discussions as to what can be spent on anything within the municipality.
I'd like to point out that it doesn't cost any money to make the application to the Ministry of Natural Resources. That's the point where we feel we are now. And of course, until we get that permit under the Lakes and Rivers Improvement Act, there can't be any work done anyway, so. But in the off chance that the application's made and approved quickly, then maybe we could get some work done this year.
Sure.
So I think there are a couple of requests in your presentation. The first one, you were indicating that you wanted either yourselves or a group to be made a committee of council. And council did pass a committee appointment policy this year that sets out a process to handle those requests, which would require a staff report back. So I think we can take that as a formal request, and there will be a staff report coming back to council regarding that request. As always, when any correspondence that relates to the housing dam, I will forward to you any reports that are coming forward as a courtesy to keep you in the loop of what's going on. And I think with regard to your request for consideration in the 2016 budget, I will let everyone know that we have been speaking to the project engineer, Andy Ross from BM Ross. And one of the things that was not included in the initial investigation by the committee was the stability analysis. So your proposal is to raise the water level by, I believe, approximately 3 feet.
3 to 4. To the normal historic level, yes.
And so the project engineer is, and the M&R are both stating that a stability analysis is a requirement for receiving a permit to do those repairs.
I'm sorry, but we didn't see that correspondence from the Ministry of Natural Resources.
We met with the ministry, so we will be reporting back to council formally in writing on the requirements during the budget process. So
it's funny, when we met with the Ministry of Natural Resources representative, she said that might be a requirement. There was no, it will be, it was a might.
Yes, and we have spoken to Andy Ross of BM Ross, and he is also recommending the
He said
stability.
it might be a requirement for the ministry.
Well, we'll report back from the ministry and our engineering firm with those recommendations to council. So one of the other things that Andy Ross is indicating is that the initial investigation that was done by the committee did not address the bridge structure over the dam.
That's correct.
And if that is badly deteriorating, there is, as you will note, and I will provide copies of my July 20th report to any members of the public who would wish to have a copy of that report. But it does discuss that the initial findings from the engineer showed that the cost of the repairs exceeded extensively what was initially reported to council by the committee when they authorized the release of those funds from the reserve. So at the time, there was a little more than $200,000 in the reserve to address repairs or whatever council chose to do with the dam. And the initial engineer's report shows that the cost of those repairs would exceed $450,000. That could extend the life of the structure for approximately 35 to 50 years. But it did not include the cost of the stability analysis, and it also stated that there would be significant or ongoing repair costs that would be involved patching the dam over that course of the 35 years.
Some of the work that hasn't been done by this municipality for quite a number of years.
Right, and so in order to address any repair project or any project with the dam, one of the things we have to consider is where is the money coming from. So I know that is one of the things that council has requested from staff as we go forward to consider this project, to find out where this project fits in the municipality's long-term capital plans. We are going to be doing significant work in the 2016 budget to update our capital planning. I would encourage any members of the public to review our current asset management plan that is on our website. It's based on 2012 data, and it does need to be updated, and we're going to be including all of our facilities so that council can really get a handle on how much capital dollars and reserve money they need to be putting away to address not only this structure, which we all agree something has to be done with, but also the many other assets that the municipality owns that are vital to the municipality. If you look at our asset management report, we're currently funding our road infrastructure at 4% of the long-term need. Our water and wastewater infrastructure is being funded at 37% of the long-term need. Council has some very difficult decisions ahead of them when it comes to funding their infrastructure, and I don't envy them because, as you can see, the room is full of people tonight, and you know, everyone has their own projects that are important to them, and council has a very difficult decision of deciding what those priorities are. We as staff will continue to provide as much information to them as we can so that they can make informed decisions on how they spend those very limited tax dollars on their infrastructure.
Okay, well, Rennie just mentioned to me to remind you that this project does have a revenue generating potential. Mr. Bauk from Green Bug Energy, who you met, his chambers, provided us with spreadsheet information, and if the dam was repaired, they're quite interested in putting a generating station in there, which would provide funds to the municipality annually from the power generated. And Tom Inglis, our committee member, has details on that he can provide to you whenever you need it. This isn't the time to get into those kind of details, but if a committee is formed and Tom is asked to present that information, he can, and Mr. Bauk is interested in coming back and speaking to us if you're interested. And we think that's an important part, that this structure can, in fact, generate some funds to cover its costs.
And that will be contingent on being able to raise the water level, and that will be, will rely on whether the structure is stable through the stability analysis. That was my understanding from the meeting with Greenbug, is that they,
Yeah. The dam has to be
right, the water
Repaired.
level has to be.
repaired so that there can be a higher release.
Trevor? So,
Yeah, may I ask a question from the gallery back here? Is it too late?
it's out of protocol unless you're a speaking member of
I am not.
the delegation. It's outside protocol
Right?
until, if you wanted to wait till towards the end of the meeting, there is the opportunity to ask questions about things that have been discussed earlier for further clarification.
Thank you.
So there's no doubt that in my short amount of time on council, this project has become, it's come to my fruition a number of times, and it is a viable, what I would say, an eyesore, or whatever, however you want to determine what that means. But at the end of the day, for me, it all becomes down to what are the priorities of the municipality. And one respect in this, and I'm definitely not pointing any fingers of staff or the committee or what, but at the end of the day, I as a councillor would love to see a full encompassing report on what the recommendations from the committee versus what the recommendations of staff are, what the engineer's report says based on what we need, what we don't need. And I think we're going to have that conversation with meetings with the M&R and MPCA. I think we need to have all that information. You know, I've had information from this committee from before, I've had information from MPCA, all pieces, but nothing encompassing. And I think, for me, that's more valuable, because I would really like to know where that sits in my priority list. Knowing what our infrastructure is and that, we need to figure out what is the priority of the municipality, and that is not going to be an easy decision at all. We have a limited amount of funds, as everybody knows, and they're not going to change. So we need to figure out what this is, and we need to make more executive decisions, but we need to make decisions that are communicated to the ratepayers to ensure that they're not getting a stalled process. So that's where I think I would like to see us go from here, is to get a full encompassing report to this council at some point during the budget deliberations or shortly thereafter, and let's make a decision one way or another on how this sits, and I think that's only fair to the committee, that's only fair to the ratepayers, and it's only fair to us.
Well, my response, Reeve Neal, is that if we had a committee of council with representation from the ratepayers, council and staff, then we could provide the information that Councilor Site is looking for. Input from all parties. So I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to,
I think the people that are just here for the dam, if you want to leave at this time, I think it would be a good time to do it.
Yeah.
I do look out a lot.
Okay. I will start in on Reeves' report. I was surprised by some of what I seen in one article in the Citizen. That unfortunately, we are not near as far ahead with having the new Huron County Economic Development Board working with us. We are still working on trying to put together a date of a first meeting. Talk to them. They made a decision back in July to disallow the presentation that we made to County Council last February. That in that there was lack of definitive information as to why that was dismissed. I hope we can put something together to discuss, but there's a number of the points that were brought out in the presentation to County Council in February that 10 months later, those opportunities have driven by long ago. There are some other points that I believe could be very fruitful if we were able to have a good meeting with two of the representatives of the Huron County Economic Development Board. Basically, in a nutshell, that's the Reeves report and most of my county council report. The other thing in the county council report, in the preliminary budget, the county figures on an increase look worse than ours initially. That the county may increase more than what North Huron is even looking at. So that, moving on to 6.4, the Finance Department, 6.4.1, the bills and accounts.
Sorry, Reed, I got a question.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question with county council. So how, I guess my question is, how does county council know that their increase is gonna be bigger than ours and we haven't even seen what ours is? And what are they determining that on?
That is, I guess, some of my thoughts in looking at what it is. In the initial draft from the county towards the budget, it is quite a bit bigger than I have seen in 9 years. Bill?
What is that percentage?
Ballpark. Your fingers showed it. I'm not going to quote the figure here because I don't know, like it's percentage plus points. I'm not going to make a mistake on it.
That's fine, it was just a guess.
Okay. Comments or a motion for bills and accounts?
think Ray has a question.
I just have one question.
Okay.
So Burns Ross here, now the roads and bridges, it's on page 1, and it says safety insurance, like what is that?
Actually, they do, they check out the bridges that.
Okay, so that's our bridge inspection,
That's a bridge inspection.
and they're all okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That's good. Brock,
I move approval of this
bills and
bills
accounts.
account.
Bill seconds. All in favor? Carries. Okay, 6.5.1. And this is for Wingham Town Hall Theater for an Ontario Trillium Foundation application. And suggested motion is the Township of North Huron Council will approve a collaborative application submission from North Huron for the January 6th, 2016 intake to the Ontario Trillium Foundation for capital improvements to the Wingham Town Hall Theatre. The project total is estimated at $120,000, and the grant request is for $30,000. Capital improvements include fire code upgrades, new HVAC equipment, and a screen and projector for the theater. Trevor?
Question, did they just not get denied? Was that on the 2015 one, or like, does that happen every year, or?
It was on a different application date, or Pat?
Yeah, so the committee had a phone meeting with the representative from Trillium, and yes, they originally had an application in July 2015 for $60,000, and that application was rejected. And then hearing feedback from Trillium Foundation, they have made some adjustments to their application to make it stronger and have reduced their request amount to $30,000, which they feel will give them a better chance of the application being successful. There are no guarantees. Ontario Trillium Foundation often receives more requests than they have funding for, but they have decided to go again with another application to the same board.
And just my follow-up question to that, I just want to reiterate, this doesn't impact any other future applications from the municipality for Trillium, correct? To Pat, through you,
Pat?
So with the new rules of Trillium, the municipality used to only be allowed to have one active application at a time, and that is no longer the case. We can have as many active applications ongoing at any time. Obviously, every application increases the competitiveness. So just some reminder information to council that the Wingham Columbus Centre came as a delegation, and they requested permission to submit an Ontario Trillium Foundation application as well for the Wingham Columbus Centre for this same intake date. So although these applications are submitted by different groups, this one for the town hall being submitted by us, and the Wingham Columbus Centre submitting on their own behalf, they will be judged on their own merit, but they will be competing for the limited amount of funding. So there's always competition, but each application is reviewed on its own merit, and then the funding is allocated.
Thank you.
Bill?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and
Support.
support the grant application.
Seconded. Brock?
I just,
Ray?
yeah, Pat, so, Pat, all right, then the Knights of Columbus, they just left for support. They weren't applying for the grant through the township, is that right? Am I right on that? They were just looking for letters of support, okay.
Because we own the property, they needed our support letter as it's sort of, although it's not a lease tenant type, it is like that kind of an arrangement. We own the property. So they could not apply without council's permission. So, but because they're their own not-for-profit organization, they are applying under their own umbrella for the funding. And under this situation, this is a committee of council, so we're collaborating with that committee to submit this application. The applicant will be the Township of North Huron for the town hall.
I understand it now, thanks.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Moving to 6.6 from the 6.6.1, the department report needs to receive it for information. Are there any questions on the report or? If there's no questions, nothing that you want to add, Kelly? Do I have a motion to receive for information? James and Trevor? All in favor? Carried. Moving to 6.9, the CAO's report, administration activities update, and that is to receive that for information purposes as well. Anything you want to add, Shirley?
No, just to note that we have posted the verbiage on the website as of today regarding the service request and complaint process, so that is live now.
Trevor?
That's live on the website. Has it been communicated out in a way that ratepayers know that it's there? Is it somehow?
Is there anything on the front end of the website that says new and noteworthy? Is it under there, or is it? Right now it's under the information for residents tab, but we can certainly do some communication, some tweet outs tomorrow to let people know the process for submitting complaints, and we have talked to our frontline staff regarding that as well, so they have the forms and are aware of the process.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think the communication out to the ratepayers is important.
Yeah, okay. We'll certainly follow up.
You know, I've had a request for a very reasonable request from a citizen, and I'm wondering what to do about it. Would I print off a copy of the form and present it to the... one of the things that I noticed about the complaint form is that it doesn't include the questions that are indicated that they're going to be asked. So the form doesn't seem to match with
the form is just a generic, they can put their generic information in there, so we could include some of those questions. I guess they wouldn't necessarily be specific to every incident. Each incident is going to be unique, so typically the form is pretty generic, but we can...
But maybe make it clear that these, because they'll be looking for those questions, and they don't appear on the form.
Okay.
Do I have over? Ray and Bill? All in favor? Carried. Moving to new business. And this is a request for Blythe Street temporary closure. And the suggested motion, the council of the township of North Huron approved a request from Faux Pas Media to temporarily close County Road 4, Queen Street, Blythe, between Drummond Street and Dinsley Street for filming on Thursday, January 7th, from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And further, that Faux Pas Media provide the township of North Huron with proof of liability insurance, and further that the appropriate emergency services be advised of these closures. Bill?
What is the purpose of this closure?
From the request, we have been advised that they are wanting to film an ad and that they are going to be walking a cow up the street of Blythe.
why do they have to do this on a Thursday? This is a business day on a major artery right through the middle of town at this time of year. Can they not do this on a Saturday or Sunday?
This is the date that they've requested.
They're working within a small time frame to get this ad done, from my conversation with the gentleman. And, it was suggested that they did it on Sunday, but because of the holiday, that was last Sunday, and they're just, the county wasn't available on the Sunday to give us direction on that.
Sure.
So the county has approved this request. They have. And so now it's come back to us. We have the forms and it's up to council. When do they want to approve this?
Trevor, how long are they asking?
9:30 in the morning to 2 p.m. That allows quite a few takes, doesn't it?
Can I make a motion to reject the application? I find that totally disruptive to the business. I can't see that happening on a Thursday. Between the truck traffic and everything else and the winter situation, rerouting traffic on the roads, which are not plowed to the standard of 4, I think he's just asking for trouble, and I think it's an extremely long period of time. So I'd make a motion to say thank you, but if they'd like to come back with a weekend date, that might be more acceptable.
I'm going to ask, is there a seconder for that motion? Not getting a seconder, we will go back to discussion.
So I would ask, is there a limit for council or not? Is there an amount of time that would be sufficient that we think we can provide, no different than any other request that we have? I don't know, I'm thinking a couple of hours, like maybe 3 at the most, at the tops, like that's what I'm thinking, but I definitely don't see it to be 5 or 6 like they're asking. I don't know if that's just because they think it's gonna be an easy request. I don't know, but I asked Council Knott, is that through you, would that be acceptable?
I would probably be willing to say if they want 2 hours so that they are finished by the time lunchtime is out. I mean, the majority of business being done in that area right now is the restaurants. They're the ones that are alive and surviving, and that's blocking off access to all of them.
Kelly?
Through you, Reeve, I believe the commercial is to do with some of the businesses that are in that area that are asking to have this commercial done. The time frame that he's asking for is to extend it out as far as possible. Chances are they'll get it done in the 2 hours that Councilor Knott is talking about. But if you don't get it done in that time and they open the street up again, then you've lost that window.
Brock?
I think this is our opportunity to become Hollywood North. And I think I'm going to make a motion that we approve the request as presented. I wouldn't want to see the cow have to run to make the timing. If it's a very tight timing, it might cause problems for the poor animal. And I think it's, I think making the restrictions are probably going to kill the opportunity to take advantage of this, and particularly because it's in part for our own community that this is being done. So that's my motion.
Wayne?
I'll second that motion. I think if the businesses want it, it sounds like Kelly said it has to do with the businesses if they want it, then.
Trevor?
So I guess I'm gonna re-ask the question just to make sure I'm clear. The businesses are on side with this, they've been communicated with this, that this is gonna happen?
Through the Reeve, that's what this gentleman has told me.
So we're basically getting second nature, we don't know that for a fact, that he's
I
got.
can't say that for a fact.
Okay.
James?
Question 2.
where are you going to reroute the salt trucks? Are you going to just say you guys can't go through by? Like, where are you going to
No,
put
we
the
have a
roadblock?
detour that's set out.
For the big trucks, so it's,
Yeah, we've had them go through there because they closed down the whole street, like all of, for the dinner that they put on. They're only asking
that
for
was
1
in the
block.
winter time when we have salt trucks, so nice.
I mean, if the county's obviously giving us the go-ahead to close that down, they must know what the traffic is there as well.
Well, it is their road.
Yeah.
It's county
It
road,
is,
it's
it
not
is
a-
a county road, yeah.
so.
Those in favor? Carried. And 9, council information. Is there any of those points that any of the councilors would like brought out for further discussion? That on basically, personally for me, I feel this council is way ahead of the curve by 2 years in moving this way, and basically, I think it would be fair to ask the provincial government when they're promoting putting in the electric vehicle chargers, that maybe we should ask for them to cover the electricity for them. For those that have already done it. I can't make a motion.
Just
James.
question on that. How often is it used? Like, we have no idea, is it 3 cars a day, 4 cars a day? We have no idea how much power is even being used here, do we? It's a normal 2-hour charge, I believe.
I've seen.
For a full charge, it'd be 2 hours. A lot of the ones are 1 that I've seen, that they're just topping up. Right.
So we really don't know how much power they're using. It's
No,
not
but
metered.
we could put a meter on it to let them know if the provincial government would cover the costs.
Well, certainly, I'd make that motion. Good luck. But I'll make the motion, sure. If that's what, they'll put a meter on it and pay for the hydro, absolutely.
Will they pay for the meter too?
Yeah, that's what yeah, the meter.
That'll be the most expensive.
The meter too. That'll have to be in the deal.
I'll second that for discussion purposes.
Any further discussion on that point? Trevor?
We're gonna ask the provincial government for something, I'm thinking of something a little bigger than that. We've got a little bit more of an infrastructure issue than we do with the electric charging station.
All in favor of the motion? Motion fails. Okay, we have another motion dealing with council information.
Order read and filed.
Trevor and Yolanda,
I have a
all in
question.
favor? Oh, did you have,
I have a question
uh,
about another item on the list.
okay, go ahead.
It has to do with item 9.2, the Smart Growth for Our Communities Act. And in the point on the second page, enhancing citizen engagement, suggesting that citizens be part of planning committees. I'm really questioning whether that is wise or not. There's an awful lot that depends on members of council who are aware of the general planning environment and the issues that are there that people off the street wouldn't necessarily be aware of. I'm just wondering what the views are of council on having that as a normal part of planning committees.
Trevor?
I think it's valuable. It's people want input. People want to have their option of having a say, and you know what? It's a committee. It's no different than any other committee that has. They make a recommendation to this council, and we make the decision based on that recommendation. If we don't support the recommendation, then we just don't approve the recommendation. So I think the more chance we can get citizens to be a part of the process, the more chance they have an invaluable part of it. Like they think they have some kind of say in it. Whether the say gets passed or not, that's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. At least they have a say. The biggest concern I have with the whole process is that we've had public meetings in the past, and we had 2 people. Or nobody. So like the fact is, if you have a planning committee, is there going to be anybody step up? I don't know. You don't know that until you ask. But I think by shutting them out, I think you're causing yourself due harm by saying they're not an option. They're not an option.
That if council agrees with me, with this economic development work that we've been doing, we have already had a number of people and looked at a number of different, say, occupations and industries, and asked them for recommendations on, for North Huron, how we move forward in relation to what their experience is. And we've thrown that already quite open. Yolanda, you can speak further on that if you want.
Well, I just think that it's really important to have that public engagement and to be in constant conversation with industry and small business in North Huron to make sure that we are doing the best that we can. So I think this membership or having public involved in any way that we can is vital.
We're already doing it.
We are.
Okay. Supplementary, Brock?
I was thinking of this planning committee as referring to sort of the formal planning committee. We were in a planning committee tonight before this started.
Okay, yeah.
And what I'm thinking is that their suggestion here is that there be a standard public membership in that committee. And that's why I'm questioning whether people from the public who have not been involved in that kind of municipal planning, how their input would be either useful or of interest to people in getting involved.
Okay. But I think this was meant in the larger general sphere as to
Could be.
being, that's how I'm interpreting it. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. And there's 2 points under correspondence. What is council's pleasure on that?
Order read and filed.
Trevor and Bill? All in favor? Carried. Moving to bylaws, bylaw number 1, 2016. Being a bylaw to appoint statutory officials to the corporation of the Township of North Huron. Bylaw 1, 2016, read a first and second time. Bill and James. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And that third reading for, final time for bylaw number 1. Brock and Bill, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 2, 2016, being a bylaw to establish fees and charges for the Township of North Huron. Do I have a mover? Yolanda? And James? Trevor?
Just so I'm clear, when we approve this motion, based on our service review, any changes in potential fees is just gonna get updated with another bylaw, is that correct?
We can amend the bylaw at any time if there, in mid-year, if there is a circumstance that requires it.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. The fees and charges bylaw to be read a third time and final time. Brock? And Bill? All in favor? Bylaw number 3, 2016, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve Clerk to sign on behalf of council a Wingham Trailer Park operating agreement between the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 180 Wingham and the Corporation of the Township of North Huron. Bill and Ray? All in favor? Carried. And that bylaw read a third and final time. Trevor and Yolanda? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 4, 2016, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve Clerk to sign on behalf of council an agreement with the Public Sector Digest, Inc. and the Township of North Huron for an asset management initiative, AMP, Phase 2, 2016, including training. James and Bill are moving the first and second reading. All in favor? Okay. And that asset management initiative, including training, to be read a third and final time, signed by the Reeve Clerk and goes to the bylaw book. Bill and Ray, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 5, 2016, being a bylaw to appoint persons, including council members, to various boards, committees, and associations.
So
First and second is Brock and Yolanda. All in favor? Or did you have a question?
We need to make an amendment here
Okay.
because the Blythe BIA, the chair, vice chair, and the treasurer's names are incorrect, but we could go ahead and make a motion that we would approve this bylaw subject to us
Subject to
inserting-
correcting.
Subject to correcting those names.
Yeah, if council is in agreement with that, we can make the administrative change afterwards to determine who the existing chair is. Do you have them?
Rick Elliott is the chair, Gary, and I can't remember how to spell him, Lewin
Yes.
is the treasurer, and I think we should just verify who's actually going to be vice chair, because there was talk of somebody switching. So we can verify that on Wednesday morning. I can add to after the BIA meeting, if you wish.
Okay. So, it's first and second.
I have a question. So, and the only reason I'm asking is because I'm on these committees. But I've never, in a year, I have never seen a meeting. So I don't know whether there is normal meetings or not. Reasons I would ask is the cemetery board, as well as the Columbus Center. But I don't know if they have normal meetings or what. I don't know who's the chair, I don't know anything. So I guess my question is do those committees exist? And if they do, when do they meet?
Columbus Center, basically that's for negotiating the agreements.
So once every 5 years, basically. Okay?
Or if an issue comes up.
Yeah. Same with the cemetery board, if there's an issue that comes up.
Oh, so it's basically on only if an issue comes up is the reason. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something.
Well, those are both on a need basis.
It's nice that I'm on them, but I knew I was. I just wanted to make sure that I've never been to a meeting, so I just want to make sure there was a reason. Sure.
Would there be any terms of reference for those, or is that something we could also establish just to determine, how a meeting is called and that type of process?
I think for me, terms of reference for all these committees need to be established to have some sense of when somebody's on it to know what the intention of them being on the committee is and when meetings are potentially going to be called or if they're going to ever be called.
It's a great point.
So, and I'm great. Good thing.
It will be eventually, but because there has been meetings in the past, but.
Okay, we will look after that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Somebody to move first and second reading? Ray and Bill? All in favor? Carried. Third and final reading? Brock and Trevor? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 6, 2016. Being a bylaw to adopt amendment number 10 to the official plan of the Township of North Huron, to be introduced and read a first and second time. Bill and Trevor? All in favor? Carried. To be read a third and final time, signed by the reading clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book, Trevor and James. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 7, 2016, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 82, 2008, as amended. This proposed zoning bylaw amendment affects all lands within the Township of North Huron. The purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to complete a zoning bylaw update to correct or update zoning provisions and mapping to be consistent with the official plan and provincial policy statement. This update is required under Section 26 of the Planning Act following a 5-year review of the official plan. Do I have a mover for first and second? James and Brock. All in favor? To be read a third time and finally passed. Trevor and Yolanda. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 8, 2016, being a bylaw to authorize the reader and clerk to sign on behalf of council an amendment to bylaw number 67, 2015, to change the closing date in the agreement of purchase and sale of property, Part Lot 2, West Josephine Street, Plan 417, Weymouth, part of PIN 41052-0171R, between the Corporation of the Township of North Huron and Rodney William Critch and Joan Michelle Critch.
First and second reading.
James and Trevor, all in favor? And third reading for that bylaw, is Brock and Bill. All in favor? Carried. Council reports and inquiries.
I just have, I didn't get a response, I guess, from council as to whether we should be contacting the North Huron Food Share, kind of setting up an appointment to kind of review what their plans are, their site and all that kind of stuff. So if that's not council's prerogative, that's fine. I either way, just Joan has offered, so I'm just waiting to see if it's council's blessing to set something up. If not, then I will pass that information on to her.
Sure.
Could that be something that could be part of our annual road tour? How long would it take?
I have no idea. I think I can talk to her just to see what that looks like. I'm sure it can be part of the road tour if that's so easy. So I'll get her in touch with, maybe I'll get her in touch with Kelly as a part of that road tour and see if they're open Wednesdays, I know, and I think usually they're open Wednesdays or by appointment, so obviously we set up an appointment a long time in advance. I'm sure that's something can be arranged. Okay, thank you.
But in my experience, 10 to 15 minutes would do a very adequate job of explaining their program, how they operate, and see the facilities they have.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, council? Trevor?
So I did have a conversation with a ratepayer today. I think based on, and I've had multiple conversations with other ratepayers as well with regards to the roads, the priority or the asset management plan, I guess, as you want to call it, with regards to our roads within the municipality. Obviously, everybody wants their road to be real nice. Obviously, we can't do it all at the same time. But again, I think from a standpoint of communication and clarity for all ratepayers to understand where is that review or what does that look like, I think would be a key thing for people to understand. But also, I think from a standpoint of understanding just the communication of how that all, it's just not about asphalt. It's about sewers and water and a whole bunch of other things that have to line up. So I think that part of that conversation or that communication out to the ratepayers to understand during our budget deliberations is going to be key to really understand what the priorities are going to be going forward. So it'll be interesting to know what those are and where we see staff's recommendations too. So
We have the same kind of questions from the Blythe area, and I'm sure these will have too.
Yes, for
probably.
sure. Indeed.
Okay. Anything else from council? Okay. Point 14, public gallery questions. You may speak now.
Thank you. I appreciate the fact that you allowed me to ask this question. As a bit of a preamble, I'll introduce myself. I live right over here, a couple of streets over. My name is David Shaw. I paid taxes in town for 42.5 years so far. I've been involved in the community activities, involved in a few things. That's the preamble to my question. My question to council goes like this. We have valuable people here. Me as a taxpayer appreciate the valuable staff. And I'm talking about Ms. Newsom. And I'm talking about Mr. Church here. And they were valuable people for input on the committee, and we appreciate that input. And that input was withdrawn from the committee, according to what I heard with Andy's presentation tonight. It was asked up there, it would be reinstated. My question to the council is the following. Why was that terminated?
Sharon?
I would like to ask council, did you establish the House and Dam Committee as a committee of council?
No.
Did you allocate a staff resource to that committee?
No.
I
That's
believe
very
that,
clear.
I believe that the staff has met with the committee. They have made themselves available.
Yes.
I myself have made myself available for your meetings. However, we do report to council, and the House and Dam Committee has not been given any authority by council.
Okay, well, I appreciate that from you, and I appreciate that from you, and I appreciate that from you. You had a request up there from the committee to reinstate that, whether it be a group of council, reinstatement of a committee of council, or however it goes. But that request was up there. And I, as a taxpayer, would hope that there be some sort of consideration in this matter from you in the future. And thank you for allowing me to ask that question and get that answer.
Bill?
Wasn't gonna, but I'm good. I'm here as a citizen of North Huron. I'm not from the community, but I've lived here for over 50 years. Haven't paid taxes that long, but I do pay them. And I just wanted to encourage council to continue on with that capital management plan. That's probably the most important thing that you do, that you're doing right now. You're the only ones responsible for seeing the big picture of all of the infrastructure and programs and facilities that we have. And we need a strategy to look after them. And I, like lots of other groups in town, have community projects that I wish you'd support more. But I recognize that you can't support everybody to the level that they would like. So you're the ones that have been elected to make the decisions that you think are in the well-being of the community based on the information you have. So I just encourage you to do that. And I recognize that some days it may feel like nobody's supporting you and everybody's mad at you. But at the end of the day, you're the ones that have to look at the big picture and are responsible for looking after the well-being of the municipality. So good luck in that, and I'll support you as much as I can and help in the community projects I'm on. But I think that capital management strategy is very important, and there's going to be lots of different groups wanting to have you support their project and pull that off. But I think it's important that your staff work on that and council work on that, and that when you finish it, express it to the public in terms of the dollars, just what the shortfall is in infrastructure. I don't think they recognize how big that shortfall is. So that's my only comment, and good luck.
You have no solution?
No solution? I'll continue to pay taxes.
I said you didn't always pay taxes.
I am now.
Danny?
Just back to the FOPOP media closure there. I realize this was a mitigating factor with the holidays, but is there typically a time you would have that request in by? Because I mean, making the decision 3 days before the closure is kind of, I mean, I certainly can't get it in the paper for Thursday and have people read it before the closure happens, because most people don't get their mail until midway through the day anyway. So I realize this is a kind of an odd situation, but normally would that request not come through sooner?
Normally, it should have been in probably 2 or 3 days earlier anyway, but because of the holiday weekend, it possibly threw things out that.
Sorry, when you say 3 or 4 days earlier, that would still have to come up at this council meeting though, right?
Yes.
3 days before the closure.
3 or 4 days before, when they did, would have been much nicer for staff to be able to have included it so that it wasn't an emergency add-on.
Mm-hmm. But it would still be during this meeting, which is 3 days before the closure, which is not enough time to get that information out, correct?
And the request did come over the holidays. I think it came just prior to New Year's or in between Christmas and New Year's. And they were trying to get it done last weekend. So we said we would bring it forward to council that we couldn't get it done in that time frame. We would try to sneak it on the agenda because they wanted to get it done within a short time frame. But to my knowledge, I don't believe the county has a time limit on these types of requests because road closures can typically be needed on short notice for various reasons. So in this case, it's obviously not an emergency situation, but we did, because of the time sensitivity of the request, ask to have the agenda amended and have it added.
Okay. Great group, by the way, Focal. Basically got it, so it's all local.
Yes.
Anything? Steve?
The complaint form on the North Huron website, this is new, I assume. Is it anonymous?
No.
So, so if someone wants to be anonymous, they have to use the ombudsman then?
Are you saying are the complaints anonymous, or is the name of the
Can someone
complainant?
register a complaint without fear of reprisals from town hall, or can a town staff member file a complaint online without it being traced back to them?
Yes, it does require a signature. However, it does state on our website that we will not disclose the name of the complainant. So there, it is protected.
But you know who the complainant is, though?
We would, yes.
And for the and Mr. Knott, I guess, about the Huron County tax increase, was it seven fingers you were holding up there when he said yes?
I can't remember. I held up two different sets of fingers, so you can take your choice between which one you decided was correct.
10%.
Okay.
And what was the reason for the withdrawal of support of Kelly Church and Pat Newsom for the house and dam project? A support reason wasn't really given when it was asked before.
Basically, it was that they were making themselves available, but when they were not recognized as asking for that much staff support, the amount of time from the staff without council dedicating as they would for a committee of council.
But isn't repairing the dam and looking after the dam and road their town staff's job anyway? Specifically, Mr. Church's?
It is one of many, and it's, as Phil said, the capital priority allotment, that there seemed to be an extensive amount of time, and that it was taking staff members away from other projects that they were working on to meet some of those meetings. Trevor.
My comment too is that yes, it is part of the staff and Kelly's job to maintain the infrastructure. However, Kelly does not have any authority on the budget that he's given. So if the fact is that we've given him nothing to repair the dam, then he can't repair the dam. So the fact is that this council and councils prior to this have some responsibility in that what we've provided as a budget for him on that particular project. And that comes down to priorities. So I think that's no different than anything else. I think that it's going to be a priority-driven process, and we'll see where it shapes out.
I'd like to address that if I could also. I think it's a misstatement to say that the support of staff was withdrawn. Kelly has attended any and all meetings that have been asked of him by the committee, and I have also attended any and all meetings. I have asked Pat not to attend some of the meetings simply because it is a project that is under the umbrella of the Public Works Department. The dam structure is not a Recreation and Facilities Department responsibility, and therefore Pat was not required to be at those meetings. She attended some of the meetings during the absence of the CAO and was actually performing some secretarial duties for the committee, which when we did a review of the committee structure and the committees of council. We did determine that the House and Dam was not appointed as a committee of council, therefore there was not a staff resource allocated to them to be their secretary. So that work did stop doing their agendas and their minutes simply because council didn't authorize it. But, so I think it's a misstatement to say that staff support was withdrawn from the committee, because we have continued to attend any and all meetings that they've requested from us. Just not Pat to all of them, because it's not in her area of responsibility.
Thanks.
I just want to go back and address your question. Forget about the number of fingers. It has been reported in the paper that the draft county budget is 6.23% over last year. And that has been reported publicly in the newspaper.
Oh, thanks. Nothing too hard.
Laura?
I just wanted to extend my thanks to council and staff for their support and direction given throughout the zoning update process. It was a 7-month process, which is a fairly ambitious goal, so to have completed it within the timeline is good news for everyone, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome, so thank you.
Well, just on a personal note, thank you very much for having it so well done, reporting in a forthright, quick manner during the meeting, and being professional about that. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the gallery? Go ahead.
Yes, could Pat be included in the upstream from the dam in the beaches and what have you that could be created if this would actually work out? That's what I'd like to ask. If she's on recreational, where do we stop the recreation at the edge of the dam?
I think
Just a question.
that, and I will give my opinion, is if it goes ahead, there's the possibility that along with parks, it could be part of hers job if it develops another feature for Riverside Park. But under the current situation, I think that going through the CAO and our Public Works Department is what our organizational chart at the current time is what we have to work through. That could change in the future.
So that's a definite maybe then?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Not seeing any in camera, with no in camera, do I have a mover for first and second reading of the confirmatory? Trevor and Brock. All in favor? Carried. And the confirmatory read a third and final time, signed by the regal clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Bill and Yolanda, all in favor? Carried. The next regular meeting of council will be Monday, January 18th, 2016, at 7 p.m. in North Huron Council Chambers here. Adjourn. Kevin and Jill, all in favor? Carried. We're done.